Welcome to the Scandal Podcast.
That's right.
I love that intro.
I am your hostess, Jaha Knight, and I am joined by the B-side team, me and Langston. It's just us.
Oh,
But
me.
uh-oh, what happened to your voice? Langston, oh, he's left me again. Okay, so I will just go ahead because, you know, he'll be in and out. He's driving. He's a dedicated gladiator trying to bring you all entertainment. I told him to wait until he got home, but he said, no, no, no. I will do this right now. And I said, okay, do what you got to do, Langston. That's just what it is.
I'm gonna murder my friend if he tries to call me one more time during this podcast. And now the camera's out again. We had it working.
Yeah, everything was working. So today's episode of the Scandal Podcast, which is We Don't Touch the First Ladies, is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/JahaKnight. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. And for you, the listeners of the Scandal Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/JahaKnight. Again, that is audibletrial.com/JahaKnight for your free audiobook. So, Langston, I haven't talked to you really in depth since last year.
Yep, not since last year.
So how's everything going?
It's going great. I'm just excited for the show to be back. Yeah, we got so much to talk about because last night was off the chain.
Last night was crazy, and I am very excited to talk about everything that happened last night. I don't know if, okay, well, we'll just start with the questions. What were your three highlights from last night during the episode?
Back. I'm back. Hello.
Oh, you're back? Okay, great.
Repeat. You said my three highlights from the episode?
Yeah.
Number one was, getting to see the aftermath of the rape for Melly.
Yeah, that was horrible to me.
Yeah, because it kind of gave it. It was a very interesting setup for how her and the former lieutenant governor, got caught up or whatever.
And do you remember his name? Because I forgot his name.
Oh God! Someone just posted it earlier, and
I'll search it while you're talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it begins with an A. I think.
Andrew. Is it Andrew?
Oh damn! Let's get on up out of here because somebody had a wreck out here.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm on Lakeshore. So anyway, so that was number one. Then second was. Of course, Tom. And then third revelation would be Adnan and Maya/Marie's involvement of them being partners in crime. So those were three.
Yeah, that was shocking.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that coming. It's like
those
you walk in front of the train and it just hits you. Yeah, that's how I felt about that.
Yeah. But, well, you asked for three, but there's so much more that happened in that episode for me that I was just sitting there because you saw my post from last night because I was just snapping as I was sitting there watching it going, damn, Shonda, what, wow. The writing, because she always gives you some speeches, and even though a lot of the speeches were really small, they were powerful. Powerful.
I liked when Melly told Olivia, well, those weren't my three moments, so I'm just going to start with my three moments. Of course, Adnan and Mama Pope being the two together, in collusion together. And it just so happens that, she's back in the country now and Mama is, free. Oh, gosh, there's just the level of crazy. Quinn pulling out a gun on Olivia, I was like, are you crazy? Like, what are you doing? That was ridiculous to me. And of course, Melly's attempted suicide. So those were my three big moments from last night. And Langston has dropped out again. So those were my three big moments for last night. The thing that I liked most about this episode was probably. Are you there, Langston?
I am here, but unfortunately, video is not cooperating again.
Oh, okay. The thing that I
And
like
I
most of
and I can no longer see you. But the thing
you
you like
can't
most,
see.
uh,
Okay, folks, we're having some technical difficulties. Just bear with us while we continue on our way. But the thing I liked most about last night was the fact that the title "We Don't Touch the First Ladies" and seeing Melly in that room with Andrew and the first ladies looking at that thing was weird and freaky, but also touching at the same time. Not touching in like a "aw," but touching in like, oh my God, like what is gonna happen next? The ladies are looking at him, and he's like, after he kisses Melly, he touches what's her name? Oh gosh, do you know
Jackie
who I'm
Kennedy.
talking about? Yeah,
Mhm.
he touches her. I'm like, are you serious? I almost call her Caroline, but yeah, he touches her like, I'm gonna touch the first ladies. I was like, what in the world?
Because it didn't I mean, and I meant to refresh myself while I was on lunch break, but some stuff came up at work. But I was just didn't she at some point say we don't touch the first ladies?
She did, because he said he would. What would happen if he took one down and ran out the room with it? And she was like, "They will get you down, like they'll shoot you down or something." Then she said, "We don't touch the first ladies." Did you find this episode compelling? Like usually we talk about the case, but there really wasn't a case this episode. It was more of them trying to figure out whether or not Andrew had. Well, not figure that out, but
But
the Andrew situation.
that was kind of a case because all along they were working under the impression that it was Andrew that they were trying to protect when in actuality it was Melon.
Yeah.
And it was very compelling because it was like, and then it became even more compelling when you realize that he basically threw himself on a sword to protect her reputation, you know.
Yeah, like you said, somebody has to look out for you. And I thought that was really sweet. Now, that moment, I was like, oh, look
Yeah.
at Andrew being all romantic so he could get some poontang. That's really, that's really what it's about.
That's his ultimate goal.
That's
But
his ultimate goal.
I'm just curious because he keeps saying he said at one point, I miss you," and she said, "I miss you too." Now I'm trying to wonder if they had a prior love affair before she got married that that they're talking about, or is he literally talking about that one night that they spent together with him holding her head over the toilet?
Well, she did say that he talked to her. They talked to like late in the night and stuff like that. I don't know, but it is really strange that she would just come out and tell him that she had been raped, but she wouldn't tell Fitz. So it
Well,
probably.
because I think she didn't tell Fitz because she knew that that would destroy him.
You think
And
so?
I think so because first of all, it would just be one more dig that another knife that his father has dug into his spine because, you know, he doesn't respect his son, and that is the ultimate disrespect to rape his wife. So yeah, that would have destroyed Fitz. And
Yeah.
she was trying to protect him, but at the same time, it's just like she felt dirty and guilty and didn't even want him to touch her because of course he's not her rapist. He didn't do anything violent against her, but just the idea that I feel dirty because your father raped me and I just can't stand the thought of you touching me right now because I don't even know if our baby is yours, you know?
But I
And
still,
that's not only would he be devastated and destroyed by the fact that his father raped his wife, but the possibility that it can be his father's son. That's even worse.
I still kind of feel like Andrew and Melly still had somewhat of a prior history.
Well, yeah, and I'm also thinking that they have an emotional connection. Now she won't let it get physical. I think that in the first lady's room, I think that's the first time they've ever been physical. But they had an emotional connection, an emotional relationship that she doesn't have with Fitz. And I
And you
think
know what? We did a show, Jocelyn and I, on Love, Sex, and Cupid that talked about emotional affairs and the power of an emotional
sorry,
affair. So that can almost be more compelling than a physical affair because you do have that bond that is not necessarily about the body but about the spirit in each other.
right.
I think an emotional affair is a little more powerful than a physical affair, to be honest, because sex is sex and emotions are
Right.
different. They tie
Right.
you more.
Uh,
So
and
yeah.
speaking of sex is an emotion is emotion. One of the first scripted moments that kind of took my breath away a little bit was just that moment, because something about the way that Melly's eyes worked, it just totally just like messed with my psyche for some reason, because when she kind of stopped dead on and just looked at him and goes, what does that feel like?
Yeah. Huh. You
And
think she
just like
doesn't
that,
know what it
and,
feels like
and
though? I think she does.
uh, no, because what she said is, what does that feel like to be so hot for somebody? And I don't think she's been hot for Andrew. He's been an emotional supporter for her, but I don't think they've literally been to the level that uh, and that was another one. I don't think they've been to the level that Liv and Fitz have been, because and then of course when she laughed in Liv's face and was like, "You think we're the same?" That that was like, get real. Yeah. So those nicely scripted moments that I thought, yeah, they were very powerful pieces. Even though they were really short, they got the point across.
Yeah.
But
I don't know that I don't know that they've gone there. She told Olivia, of course, that they're not the same and that she hasn't opened her legs to Andrew. But now that she's kissed him, she feels a little guilt.
right, and clearly, that it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when is it gonna happen, because the sparks are already flying, and they've clearly been flying since 14 years ago. They just never did anything about it.
Mm. And I think that he's come back to correct that error on his part.
That's why. That's why he accepted the situation, and and I'm sure, being the lieutenant governor and being around so much, he's probably heard every argument they've ever had, except for the ones at night in the bedroom. But
do
he,
you,
he
do,
heard. Go ahead.
what do you think the reason is that Fitz is insisting that he be on the ticket? Because they could have shut that down and let him go away. Do you think that Fitz is actively bringing an in-house dong for Melly?
He might be, but I mean, I have to believe that at some point he knew that they had become close in some way, and I think that even if he doesn't know that they were feeling each other, he knows that they had some sort of connection that will keep Melly occupied.
Hmm.
And at this point,
Yeah.
I don't even think he even would care if they actually are or had, because he's doing his thing and has been doing his thing for a while now. So I don't even think that he would even care.
Now remember, he told Melly like she came in there to try to get him to do something. I can't remember what she came into the room to ask him about, and he was just
Oh,
like, "I don't have time."
he wanted her to. She wanted him to make sure that Liv kept him on the campaign, because Liv was talking about dropping him from the campaign because of the drug situation.
Hmm. And then he kept telling her, I don't have time. But what he really was saying was, I don't have time for you. I
Yeah,
don't have time for you. Leave me alone.
pretty much. And
I don't know. The level of disrespect to me from Fitz to Melly is just unparalleled. And I get that he's not happy with her, but at the same time, she's helping you to maintain this facade of a happy marriage so that you can be reelected. Because that's a large part of you being reelected. But I get why he's upset because she's
right,
betrayed him a few times that she
and
shouldn't,
yeah,
trying to manipulate him.
right. Oh, speaking of manipulation, let's go back to dinner with Pops.
That was good. You're cutting out.
Like I
Still cutting out, Langston.
said last year.
Okay, here we go.
I mean,
Now I can hear you. What are you saying? Okay, I don't know what's going on with your
I was
phone.
I was just saying, going back to the dinner with here. So I should be out of this area in a minute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and talk until you're out of that area. The dinner with Rowan was absolutely crazy because he was like, I'm not about to sit here. Look, we already did the bench thing last week. I'm not about to sit here and listen to you talk crazy about or basically try to manipulate me again for some nonsense. That was funny to
Hmm.
me.
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
hear me better now? Okay. So what I was saying is that, uh, like I said last week when they were on the bench, she everybody's talking about she was there to be emotionally supportive to him, and he just basically brushed her off. No, she was not. Uh, Olivia was there to do damage control. She wanted to assess
Hmm.
she wanted to assess the damage and figure out what she could do to cut him off at the pass. And that's why when she started talking all that mess about, I'm just so worried about you and I want you to, you know, and and that quote, valor. What was the quote from the statue? Uncommon valor. I can't remember the full quote, but uncommon valor, whatever the rest of the quote was, and basically, and it reminded me of you because you allowed me to hate you. And he looked at her and said, "What do you want, Olivia?" He's not stupid. He knew, and that's why, and that just carried right on over into this week's episode, when she's trying to sit down to dinner with him and still trying to pump him for information, and he was like, "Does this normally work for you?"
Yeah, it's uncommon valor was a common virtue, and you're
Yes.
absolutely right. He just cut her off at the pass. He said, "I'm not playing this game with you again this week, girl. What do you want?" And
And,
I'm insulted that you insulted me by trying to play me like that.
but here's the thing about it. You don't understand, Liv. He lived through your mother. Your mother was the master manipulator who was able to get him to lay in a bed and make a baby, and knowing all the while that this wasn't even real.
Yep.
Sure, she had a baby, and she probably loved Olivia with all her heart. But at the same time, she was betraying him the entire time and manipulated him for 12 years, maybe even longer. They had to have been, kicking it around for a little while before Liv was even born. So that means, I would have to say what? Say they probably courted and dated for like maybe 2 to 3 years before actually getting married and having the baby. So yeah,
Mhm.
he knows what manipulation looks like. Because he probably sat back for 22 years rethinking every way that she manipulated him. So step off, Liv. Step the hell off. Because I see everything that you're doing, so don't play with me. I got you.
So, with all of these Shakespearean quotes, you have to be in heaven listening to watching Scandal, being that you're an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, because you know how I get excited about the dialogue,
Hmm.
and and of course, I was definitely, like I said, the two little short speeches from Melly. First, the one with Fitz where she was asking him, "How does that feel?" And then the little, maybe two or three sentences that she threw at Olivia for, basically thinking that they could possibly, oh, you think you understand me
Bond.
because
She was like, no, no bond in here.
because you're sleeping with my husband, you must be crazy. And the ultimate speech for me last night was Huck's monster speech.
Oh yeah, I copied
Uh,
that from the group. I was like, Langston won't mind if I just copy this.
that's why I put it out there because I don't want anybody asking questions later. What did he mean by that, or what did he say? That was a clear cut. You basically, you're the one that went too far.
Yeah,
You, you fucked up that girl's life, and then you brought her to me. You brought her to Frankenstein, and you wanted me to fix her.
yeah.
What
And
the
the
hell?
thing is, she knew she took all the gladiators over a cliff. What did she expect?
Right.
Especially from Huck. What
And
did she
I'm
expect?
and I'm sorry, everybody is upset with Quinn because she pulled the gun on Olivia.
Oh, I'm not upset.
I'm not upset either because I'm surprised it took her this long. Because
Exactly.
when she found out what they did to her, a normal person, and don't let it be a black woman, because if a normal
A normal
person
person would have
had found
snapped on
out
her
that somebody
already.
did that to them, that office would have been fucked up on the first day she found out.
Uh-oh.
There was when she was smiling right in Huck's face, pumping, pumping
Okay.
him for some information.
You're in and out again. So you're saying that when she was smiling in Huck's face and pumping him for information, I'm quite sure you'll come back to that when you get back because I think you have blocked out. For me, this episode, if blank would have happened and blank would have been the reaction, the episode would have been perfect. I kind of feel like if Mama Pope had showed up to that dinner with the fundraising dinner for Fitz instead of Adnan Salif, it would have been perfect because it would have been interesting to see how Fitz would have reacted if Mama Pope had showed up instead of Adnan Salif. So that's my if then blank moment. What was yours, Langston?
I agree, and I honestly think that that's still coming because there's plenty more fundraisers where that one came from because that money came from Mama Pope. Um,
Yeah.
Something tells me that all the stuff that Adnan had been doing to begin with was on behalf of Mama Pope throughout her time in there, and somehow Mama Pope still had some contact with the outside world. So that,
Mm.
that that money definitely came from her. Um, Now the question is, why does she want so badly to be a part of the political process? Because the amount of money that was in that briefcase, and the fact that they had Harrison donate it directly to his campaign fund. Um, Number one, that was probably more money than they should have been allowed to donate because I did a little research, and you're only allowed to donate about 32,000, maybe 400 and something dollars to a campaign fund, and you're only to a political party. But as far as a political candidate, you're only allowed to donate about 2,600, I believe it was. So therefore, that cash that she dropped there was way above. So either she's trying to get him caught up in, some sort of political, mess up with all that money, or the grant company is a slush fund, and that's also illegal. So someone's playing games with his whole political situation.
You're fading out again. Wouldn't it be interesting? You're fading out. I don't know what's going on. But wouldn't it be interesting if, for some reason, Mama Pope and Papa Pope were actually working together, especially since Mama Pope is, Papa Pope is now out of B613, and they could work together for the good of the Republic to bring down Fitzgerald Grant. Now, that would be an assumption that I'm making, but I think that would be an interesting plot twist if that were to happen. Do you?
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat that because I missed all of that.
I was saying that you
I came back in on that would be interesting, don't you think? Do you?
I was saying that if Mama Pope and Papa Pope were actually working together in collusion, because I know Papa Pope is all about the good of the Republic, but I kind of don't know if he's going to be able to get his post back as command for B613. So with that being said, wouldn't it be interesting if they were both working together for the common goal, but not necessarily together?
Right, right. I was just saying this to someone last night. I think that there's more to the story about why that plane was blown out. Because that was just two. Number one, Pop never contributed to that story. That was Olivia's own conjecture.
Hmm.
But there is a reason that that plane was blown up. But I don't think it was because of. I don't think it was because of Maya. I mean, I think it was indirectly because of her, because there was probably something on that plane that she may have hidden that she didn't that she was trying to get out of the country, but because he got her off of the plane and probably basically tortured her, probably trying to get the information, and the only way that she could think to get them to stop was to tell them that there was a bomb on the plane. Or she told them what they wanted to know, that whatever they were looking for, yes, I left it on the plane. And rather than just wait for the plane to land, and retrieve it, then he made the bold decision to just blow the damn plane out of the air.
Well, that could have been from anger as well. And then also you have to think too that now that Jake has taken over B613 and they've given him this briefcase, there has to be he has to know what the reasoning is behind a lot of these things that are going on, because now he knows as much as Rowan does. And if you are now tuning into the Scandal podcast, which I see that we do have a few viewers, if you're now tuning into the Scandal podcast and you want to contribute to the dialogue, or you have a question, please click the Q&A app and state what you have to say to join in on the discussion. If you click the Q&A app on the video, you should be able to join the discussion and tell us what your thoughts are about last night's episode, We Don't Touch the First Ladies. So that is that. You're back, Langston. It's nice.
Yeah.
I'm getting the hang of this thing of covering when you're gone.
It seems right. It seems like the closer I get to home, the worse it gets. And I don't know what that's all about.
What do you think about Abby telling David that she loved him and him not responding?
He heard her, but I think he was more caught up in what's going on with this Publius thing that he just kind of moved on to that. Because I think he was actually about to respond, but that's a whole conversation. When somebody first tells you that they love you, that's a conversation. He should have responded, but I'm sure he wanted to contribute some sort of conversation to it.
All he had to say was, "I love you too. Now let me take this call." You don't leave a woman hanging for days and not saying that very special set of words back to her. That is insane. I was like, if I were her, I would let his behind get thrown in that damn trunk, and I would not rescue him because that was messed up. But anyway, what was a game-changing moment from last night's episode for you?
Game-changing moments.
Yes.
damn it, that when they brought that damn briefcase in.
Really? That was the game changer for you?
Yes, because there was because number one, as soon as they said that there was a an insider, I already knew that it had to either be Tom or Hal. Because I don't know if you noticed, I posted that right
Yeah.
after that, and I said if it's Hal, if it's Tom or Hal, I will die. I will literally die. And I think I did. I think I did momentarily when Hal walked in the room. I mean, Tom walked in the room, and literally that. So yeah, I kind of foresaw that was what was gonna happen. So yeah, the briefcase was a game changer to me because I was listening to that letter, even though they were speeding through all the stuff. I was still hearing everything that it was saying, and as soon as he said that about there being a trusted agent on the inside, I was like, it's got to be Tom or Hal, and that's gonna be fucked up if it's Tom, because we always thought that Tom.
And it's going so fast. It's going so fast when you're watching it that you almost don't have time to kind of process what's going, who the person could possibly be. And then when you are ready enough to tweet during the commercial break, then it's back and you're like, oh crap, like I didn't even think about who the person was. So yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, as soon as he said a trusted agent, I already knew that it. I was like, it's Tom or Hal, but I never really thought that it would actually be Tom. I just knew it was gonna be Hal. So yeah, I was actually blown away when Tom walked through that door. Because I was like,
Really?
damn. So all of this time, now think about this. All of this time that
Hmm.
Fitz thought that he wasn't being taped, he was being taped.
Yep.
Because remember in season 2 when Tom came to him and goes, "Sir, I need to tell you that you realize that there's video cameras in
Cameras,
the Oval
yep.
Office." And he said, "Oh," and he goes, "Don't worry, it's taken care of." So that gave the impression that Tom, whenever Tom was around, we didn't have to worry about cameras or mics in the Oval Office. Tom would turn them off. But no, Tom has been reporting back to Dad from day one.
Yep.
That's why when, so follow me here. Yes, it was Fitz's idea to drop the bomb, but then it was Tom's job to go back and report that to Dad. So who gave the order to say, okay, do it? Dad gave the order to do it because that's why he was so conveniently waiting outside her apartment when the bomb was dropped and already had the plane waiting. Dad already knew that this was going to happen, that it was in play, because he could have shut it down. Because Tom would have had to report, oh, guess what the president told me to do? And so
Yeah.
then he said, don't do it. That's my daughter. But when it came time, Dad said, oh, okay. So if I need to shut this down, okay, Tom, go do it.
Because he's reporting
And
to
I'll
him nightly. He's reporting to command nightly.
nightly, daily,
Mm-hmm.
you know, every spare minute he's got. So everything when,
Experiments.
when he told Fitz, sadly, boy, I know everything about you. He meant that. So
Yeah.
every move that he's made since he went into the political arena, and every move that he's made as president, as long as Tom was by his side, Dad knew everything. So
Dang, that's intrusive.
there's nothing that he did not know. He didn't have to tell him that he knew how his daughter tasted, because Tom probably had his iPhone up against the wall, taping every moan and groan.
I think they're a little more sophisticated than that. At least I would hope so. Hal probably Hal probably would have had his iPhone up to the wall because Hal is incompetent to the extreme, but not
You know,
Tom.
and that's the thing, because I don't, there's probably so many times that Tom was just like, he probably went back to command and said, "Please let me kill Hal."
This Hal is incompetent. What moment would you have taken out or extended from last night?
What moment would I have taken out?
Or
I
extended?
honest, I can't even imagine anything that I would have taken out, but I would have liked to have seen the moment, that hotel moment, extended with
Maya and
Mama and
Anna?
Maya and Adnan. Yes, I would have liked to have seen them maybe say a little bit more about what it is that they're trying to, what they're about to do. But I know it's coming. But I was just like, it was so quick, and it was like, ah. But I actually, as soon as I heard the voice say, "How was your night?" I was like, "Oh hell no!" I, I was already there. I was like, they hadn't even shown her face yet, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is starting to make so much sense now."
I
And
was like, who is that? That was my reaction. Like, who is
I,
that?
I recognized the voice as soon as she spoke. I was like, I literally posted because it was so quick. Because when Tom walked in, I typed, "Tom, no!" And then when I heard the voice, I said, "Mama, no!" Because I already saw it coming. But the thing about it was still shocking to me because I was like, I never would have put those two together in my mind
I
until I heard
never
her
would
voice.
have either. But then when you think about pulling people together and moving the plot forward, who doesn't make sense to throw in those roles? Gladiators love Tom. We love Tom. We just
But
do.
I, I
So
would have I would have to think that Adnan is around the same age as Olivia, and I'm just trying to wonder what would be the relationship between Adnan and what would be the relationship between Adnan and
and
Maya,
Maya, I
because
would think.
I,
I don't agree with you. I would think
because
that she would be older than Olivia.
Adnan, really, you think she
Yeah,
is?
because she would have had to know Maya. If she does even in fact know Maya like that, she would have had to know
Well,
her before she went into the hole for the years she was in
ex-
there.
exactly. And my yeah, but she looks awfully close to the age that
Like,
Olivia is, and that.
no, colored people don't crack with the cute
Well,
looks. Come on now.
she is colored. She is colored.
Hmm.
She's a brown woman, um, of Arabic descent. But I was thinking that if she were the same age as Liv, she was probably like 12 or 13 when what's her name went in. Now the
Do you
only
think
thing that
they
I
start Spies off that early though?
well, remember they said that she was 16 when she started. Maya was 16 when she started.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe their connection is that Adnan was raised in the same way that she was, where she was taken into this. So she may be a few years older than she may be a few years older than Liv. So maybe the way that they made the connection is that they were part of that same organization. That I don't I don't remember what it was. World something. I don't think it. I want to say New World Order, but it's not. I'll have to look it up later, and I'll share it with you later. But there was a specific organization that took Maya in and trained her to be a spy at 16 years old. So by the time she was 22, she was already on her first mission. And
Hmm.
so I'm thinking that's what their connection is, and that when she got out, he called the organization, and they connected them, and then they devised whatever this plan that they're doing.
Yeah, that
Um,
actually does make sense.
yeah.
She doesn't have
So
to necessarily know Maya in order to.
right,
Yeah,
right, because
that does make sense.
I think they're connected through that organization, and yeah, I actually I posted the actual information for the document last at the break, when we were watching Dora Mark exit, because all of it was plotted out on the wall, and I was able to manipulate the video so I could read some of the document.
You stay going in and manipulating videos and screenshotting.
I need help. I need help.
You are
Um,
addicted.
I'm really because I just always want to know what's going on. But yeah, there was an organization that she was a part of that raised her and trained her to be the spy that she is today. And again, like I said, I think that's what their connection is. Because last night I was talking with somebody and I literally told them that I thought that it was that she could be a secondary daughter, but then when we talked about it, it was like no, she would have to be older than Liv because she would have to be way older than Liv to be a daughter because then you know because she didn't have anywhere to have a baby while she was in prison. So, and I'm
Yeah.
sure he didn't let her have any conjugal visits from anybody else, considering they are still married technically, even though she's supposed to be dead.
But you
Um,
can't marry somebody that doesn't exist. And I'm quite sure when she married Rowan, she married him under a false name. And
or she married him under Maya Lewis, and at the time she was known as Marie Wallace.
Wallace,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
so
who was your MVP for last night's episode? Mine was
my
Hollis. 'Cause
yeah, Hollis came up in there, but oddly enough for me last night it was Quinn, and
was it?
that's mostly because she's finally showing some backbone. Um, because after 2 seasons of being just dragged through the mud and treated like shit, she was like, she licked me like a piece of meat, like I was not human, and she is doggone over it. She is over it, and I think somebody said that Liv invited her back, and then she just spit in Liv's face and blah blah blah.
But
She
she
has
wouldn't
every
be in
right.
that position if they didn't put her in that position. So
Right.
I would have.
She has every right to be angry. But the thing is I think that she wants everybody to leave her alone until she gets finished doing what it is that she's trying to do. Um,
Yeah, because
because
she was very shaky when she pulled that gun on Liv. It's like she really didn't
right,
want to use it, but
she didn't-
she felt like she was almost being forced to make that choice. I'm
right.
glad Olivia
Well,
got out of the car.
mostly I think it had nothing to do with the fact that she, like she was like trying to push her away or anything. It was like basically it was like get out of my car before you blow my cover. Because she's literally trying to do surveillance on Rowan because there's something that she's found out that nobody else knows, and she's following him for a reason,
Hmm.
and she wants to know why she was manipulated the way that she was, and basically if Olivia had stayed in that car and then Dad had noticed them, you're talking about what if my father had seen you. Well, now he will because your stupid ass just got off with me. Now get the fuck out before I shoot you. You're gonna blow my cover. I was cool until you stepped into the car.
The
So yeah,
gladiators would have been up in arms if Quinn had shot
right.
Olivia.
But, but she wasn't gonna shoot her, and Olivia knew that. But at the same time, she's like, okay. She just kind of had that like, okay,
Because like we said earlier, she has pushed all of them so hard and so far that now it's almost like how can they come back from it? Poor Huck giving her coffee all through the whole episode. I'm like, there's got to be something going on with this coffee because Huck just keeps bringing her cup after cup and she's looking at him like he done lost his mind. And when she said, Huck, you know I don't drink coffee, I was like, oh, that's what it is. He's trying to,
but that's not true because I think I can scroll back to a couple of episodes and see her drinking cups of coffee.
I don't
Because
recall her
one
ever drinking coffee.
one of the things that I remember somebody saying about her is that she drank too much coffee. That's why she was always awake. She said she never sleeps. So
She drinks a lot of wine. I don't think she drinks too much. I've never seen her hold anything in her hand to drink other than wine. To be
maybe
honest, I've never.
maybe she gave it up, but I think I remember her talking about drinking too much coffee and being always being awake.
Maybe
So
it
I'll have
was
to.
season one. It might have been season one. They
It's,
deviated a little.
it's possible she gave up coffee for Lent. I don't know, but I know for sure I remember her having a cup of coffee in her hand at some point.
I
Now,
think Steven's gonna come back at some point. Like I was just asking the A team last week. I was like, what do y'all think happened to Hollis? When is Hollis coming back? And here Hollis shows up this week. So I kind of think not necessarily Steven, the person who was playing him before, because apparently they must have had some issues with that. Don't quote me on it, but or him.
yeah,
But maybe his character.
no, there was some sort of issue because I remember Oprah, like after, like somewhere in the midst of the second season when they had Shonda and Carrie
Judy,
on and Judy on the Oprah,
Old
whatever that
Network.
show on the OWN network, but I can't remember the name of the show that she does. Um, but basically, when she said, "So what happened with Steven?" and and then the whole conversation about Katherine Heigl came up, and she said, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
just like with that situation, I had to learn that I should vet people were
And
better."
that's why we see so many of the Grey's Anatomy cast and crew show up on this show as different characters, things like
Yeah.
that. I think now that she's gotten a way of doing that, a method, she's not going to
Uh-huh.
be having those issues anymore. Who was your least favorite character? And I did say my favorite character was oh gosh, my mind
Hollis.
just went totally blank. Hollis. Hollis came out of nowhere with his funny little quotes and the things that he says with no kind of shame. I absolutely love Hollis. I guess for me on Scandal, I love the monsters because I love Huck and I love Hollis. I love Cy. A lot of my favorite quotes are from Cy because I just love his shade and the way he throws it. And then I actually liked when Abby, initially I didn't like when Abby was such a witch, but now I'm kind of like missing old Abby. I said that last episode. So yeah, I like it when they give the snarky remarks and witty comebacks and things like that. But now it's kind of like poor Abby has lost her mojo. She's saving David out of cars and such, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. First, well, I'm just going to go over the things that got on my nerves this episode. First of all, James, he was so bold last episode. Just last episode, he was talking about how he wanted to take Cy down. Then this episode, here he comes, his balls all up in an uproar. He's like, oh, I don't want to do it again because I'm scared that he's going to kill me. Regardless, I think Cyrus knows that James is up to something because as soon as he tells James something, something happens to negate his plans. And if Cyrus hasn't realized that yet, I don't know why he wouldn't have realized that yet. But just like he had just went and sat down at that table and told James that he was going to have Publius that night. And then next thing you know, the plans fall through. How is that possible? Interesting. So I
What
don't
do you
think
mean the
that
plans fall through?
the plans to when he had Charlie go stake out the reporter so that he could capture whatever his name is, the name to start with a P.
They fell through. They fell through because Abby intercepted
James.
the. Huh?
Yeah, because Abby, but also because James was trying to get to, if to me, I just the
Well,
foolishness that is James's choices is
well,
just
James was trying to warn David not
yeah.
to go there because he knew that he was about to be snatched. But luckily for David, Abby was smart enough to go into his emails and find out what the fuck was going on. So they were able to get there and actually circum
Intercept.
intercept Charlie from actually grabbing him.
Yeah, which was good
Because,
because I like David. I think he's hilarious, and I don't want
yeah,
him caught up by a whatever device Charlie would put together to kill him.
yeah, I was nervous. I was nervous for him. Um, but yeah, the thing is why are you going to meet her out in the open anyway?
Dumb.
You know, and now he has to know now. Well, now James at least is smart enough, hopefully, to realize that you need to stop texting her because they now can tap into the phone. Clearly, they did because they knew that you were going to meet her
But the
or
crazy thing
something.
is, you would think at this point all of them would realize that they are all under surveillance. Everything that
Mm-hmm.
they say and or do is subject to be taped. You would think at this point that they would realize that. I mean, how
Right.
many times do you take a tape somewhere and talk about, look at what I recorded? I mean, come on. So you would
Right.
think
And I
at
would.
this point that they would know that their emails are being monitored, just like David not realizing that his email can be monitored. And man, look, I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. So if that's the case, Abby and Harrison and Huck now know who Publius is.
Mm-hmm. Um. He may not. Well, yeah, because if they've been trading back emails, so now that means that the team will now have to circumvent and try to figure out how to protect James in the event that
Cyrus finds out.
Cyrus does find out. But here's the other thing too: is if it hadn't been for Adnan, Cyrus would have figured it out.
Yeah,
Cyrus was just about to figure it out
but she
because
distracted him.
Charlie said, "What kind of freaking name is Publius anyway?" And then Cyrus got to thinking, like, "Where have I heard this before?"
Because he said, what
And
kind of nerdy name is Pew?
right, what kind of
Mm-hmm.
nerdy? And literally, I think he was starting to put two and two together, and then Adnan distracted him, by introducing herself to him and telling him that they're going to make great partners someday. And so
And
it's
you know the name Publius or whatever, however you say it. You know that's like
Publius.
Go ahead, you say it because I can't. I'm too
Publi.
geeky. I'm a geeky girl. I can't get my mouth around all them
Just say,
syllables the correct way.
just say Poob Lee.
Who Publius. Okay.
There you go.
So
See,
with him, well, actually, that means like a Roman emperor or something, some kind of emperor that was taken down by the people or something. I remember I looked it up today. I
it was
should have wrote it down.
it was someone was writing on behalf of the Republic, and Publius, which meant for the people.
Yeah. There we go.
Um,
Look at that.
there
I'm
you
so glad you're on here because I am
go.
so half-assed with my facts.
I reads too. Yeah, and that's the great thing. That's the great thing about this show is that those that are inspired to do so, when something hits you that it's like she says because she's trying to throw some whammies up in there, and it makes you want to know what the hell it means. So
Hmm.
if she puts something out there, I'm immediately on Google because I want to know what it. I don't know what it means if I don't know what it means when the character says it, I'm looking it up so I can understand it. So then when I go back and watch again, I can be like, okay, I got you.
More
I understand
informed. Yeah.
more upon this.
You
Upon
use
this.
Google and you use Hulu Plus or something because you be on them video rollbacks and stops and
Well, the videos are, I download so I can watch them over and over. And I literally have a what do you call it, Dropbox account where I store all of my TV shows.
oh
So
yeah, that's
and then I have this awesome. If anybody out there has Android and you happen to have access to be able to download episodes of Scandal, get the MX player. It's a beautiful thing because just a glide of your finger and you can go back and forth and rewind and fast forward and just drop on a dime and find a scene that you want to find and just be able to just totally like catch the dialogue and all of that stuff on any given scene that you want to. Unlike with a VCR or TiVo, you have to keep pressing the button until you find something. This
look.
is
Even Hulu Plus because you try to go 10 seconds back, it take you 17 minutes. You be like, y'all ain't finished going 10 seconds back yet.
but this thing is lovely. It's very touch sensitive. If you have a touch screen and you just simply glide your finger across until you find the spot that you want, and it's almost precise. It's like if you remember where you were, you can always go right back to that spot if you want to.
So who was your least favorite character this episode?
My least favorite character.
Hmm.
You tell me yours, and I'll have to think. I'm thinking about mine right now.
My
'Cause
least
I'm
favorite
doing.
character was James, just because of his inability to be consistent. If you are the dragon in one episode, be the dragon in the next episode. Don't be the dragon in one episode and then be the puppy in the next episode. I was just like, man
Yeah,
up, grab your balls and act like a man. Seriously.
I would have to say that yes. I wouldn't say my least favorite character, but the most annoying character for me last was James because of the fact that, like you said, last week he was all balls to the wall, and then this week he was comic relief for me because he had me cracking up. He said, "That sound of metal grinding you hear, that is grinding his sword to stop my head off." You know, he has some comical moments for me, but I was just like, be that hard, dark person that you were trying to be last uh last episode
Episode.
because me that was the game changer from last week's episode was that James was like, fuck this, I'm not taking this shit no more.
That's what we were
uh,
talking about. Yeah, exactly.
and I was ready for him to be that person, but then this week he reverted back to, yeah, I can't say that word on TV. I mean,
Already on podcast.
a podcast. But basically, yeah, he went the total opposite direction of where he was last week, and I'm hoping that David and the rest of the team can shore him up and teach him how to be a gladiator
Mm,
because he's going to have to learn how to be very clandestine because he's been so jumpy and so obvious around Cyrus that it won't be long before he figures it out. Now, what
but the
he needs to
Gladiator team isn't being clandestine because if you look at, like we talked about with the 18 last week, how Abby went on national television and flubbed it up and then went to this lady's house and told her, I'm from the Post, and clearly you were just on TV. So they're not being as on point as they should be. And now with Harrison having integrated himself in the whole, this is about to be a hurricane, and Harrison is right in the middle on the wrong side. Like, he's not supposed to be doing any favors for Adnan Salif, which basically is him doing favors for Maya, which Olivia knows absolutely nothing about, just because he wanted to get a little bit of trim. Like, you knew what Adnan was going to come back and do. Why would you fall back into that willingly?
but that he didn't do it willingly. He didn't do it willingly.
He did it
He
in blackmail, but at the same time, just let what you're holding back come out, or just tell Olivia, period, so that you could just be direct. That's the thing. So many people in the show try to hold on to so many secrets that are eventually going to come out anyway. Why are you
that's why
holding on to it?
that's why it's a soap opera and that's why it's called Scandal because everybody's trying to hide something.
Except Abby and David. Well, David now has a you know the word,
But
pubulus.
but for him it's no longer a secret because there's at least two other people who now know.
Yeah,
Don't
Abby's
know.
not gonna let him have secrets anyway. What was he thinking? You're
Of course
dating
not.
Abby. Abby is
Like,
the nosiest redheaded chick.
right, but I love how when they said she goes, can you hack into somebody's emails and blah blah blah. Well, whose emails do you want to hack into, David's? And he's like, oh, you think he's cheating on you? And she's like, no. Like, I know this is good, so no. She was like, no, that's not it. But I have my reasons. So she knew that something was going on, but she wasn't even concerned about it being another woman. That's what.
So we
That's what.
have a couple of questions in here. Renee Deborah says, do you think that once Fitz finds out that his father raped Melly, that this will change the dynamic between them? I see the possibility of a jealous Fitz coming into play as far as Andrew and Melly are concerned.
Well, like I said, I don't think he cares about Andrew. He think had he known early on, about if he had known early on about Dad, that would have destroyed him. And I think it
You
still
think
possibly
so?
could still destroy him, knowing that one of his children is not his. And of course, we know it would have to be little Jerry.
I honestly don't think that if he had found out about his father, it would have destroyed him. I think it would have made him more sensitive to Melly. It probably would have brought them closer together rather than pushing them further apart like it is now. That's what I
But
personally think.
But yeah, I don't think she was ready for that. I think she feels I'm just stating what I think she was feeling at the time is that he wouldn't look at her the same. And I don't think what she realized was that it
Her
wasn't the
fault.
idea of you being with someone else, or the whole aspect of what his father did that pushed him away. It was actually her unwillingness to tell him what happened that pushed him away. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Because she didn't even want him to touch him. Thank you so much for chiming in, Renee Deborah. And Langston, we can see you again now. But thank you for chiming in. And then she also said, at this point, do you see a happy ending for Fitz and Olivia when it's all said and done? I don't think it's looking good for these two anymore. As Olivia said, Vermont is looking further and further away.
Who said that? Was that
Renee Deborah.
Renee? I think that at the end of the day, I think that Shonda is trying to set it up for there to be a happy ending, which is probably why Andrew is there now. Um, but I think that's a long way away. I think it's a long way away. Because as long as they can continue to make these stories work, and as long as the series continues to be popular, they're going to have to find a way to
Keep them apart.
keep them apart, keep the tension going. But I think ultimately her goal is to make them, you know, have that happy ending. Because she put them
Vermont.
together. She put them together for a reason. Now, unless something drastic happens to Fitz, within this season or the next, because we all know the daddy's out to get him. And unless something serious happens in the next few episodes or the
I think the
following
finale is
season,
going to be insane. The finale.
yeah, I think all of the next few episodes are going to be insane. We only have six more left.
Mhm.
There,
Yeah.
I think she's gradually building to something that's going to give us a moment we had last year. We got the big reveal on Papa Poe.
Mm.
Because yeah, because that's the only way I can explain that bullshit from last week. Uh, she had to ease us into what's coming, because I would have to say that's the only time that I ever felt like an episode was dragging for me. Um,
Really? I liked last week. You know what?
I,
You know why? I'm gonna tell you why. Langston, I'm gonna tell you why you felt like last week drag. I'm gonna tell you. This is what we've learned on the podcast. You cannot, while Scandal's on break, you cannot go and watch it again. You cannot overanalyze it. You got to act like Scandal doesn't exist no more. Like, you just have to, because look, that's exactly what I did before this season 3 started. Like, I gorged on Scandal. I was in the forums. I was reading what y'all were talking about. I was on Tumblr. I was on Twitter looking at stuff. And then at the end of the day, when the what do you call it, when it starts over, when the season started,
yeah, the
I was just
premiere.
like, yeah, when the premiere came, I was just like so let down at the end of it. I was like, I was waiting for this. Like, I was so disappointed. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's probably what happened for you.
and then the other thing too is, like, I get it that there's so much stuff to solve and everything, but I think we're also losing the purpose of, you know, I guess the early feel for the show was that they were always trying to solve other people's problems,
And
and
now they're solving theirs.
yeah, and and ultimately everything that was going on around everything else was the subplot. Well, where the client was the main plot, and
And then
now
it
it's
always paralleled. It always like
right,
kind of, yeah. I see what you're
right.
saying. Deborah,
Yes,
Deborah Renee, you actually put something in here for the question and response, and for some reason it disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. So if you want to put that back up there, that, excuse me, would be good. I was eating lasagna. Sorry, y'all, I'm burping in ear. But well, okay, I was hungry. But if you have any questions or anything that you would like to contribute to this conversation, which we're probably going to be wrapping up here in the next 3 to 4 minutes, please definitely put it in the questions and answer little feature that is on the screen there for you to see. What was the most out of character thing anybody said in this episode for you, Langston?
most out of
Or
character thing.
did? Yeah.
I would have to say Melly kissing Andrew because after
Wow.
and ultimately, you know why? Because in that moment she realized, damn, I am Olivia.
That
And
is
she
what she realized. That's why she backed away and ran up that room.
backed up, she put her hand to her mouth like, oh my God, because
It's so
yeah, because
easy to go down this road.
she remembered what she said to Olivia, and she's like, I am Olivia, damn it, and then she ran out.
Did you have
Oh,
a favorite tweet from last night? Did you tweet?
oh no,
Yeah.
unfortunately I did.
I have one. It's from Melinda Everyday. She said Joe Morton is that special type of actor that doesn't come by often. He just brings another level of gravity to the craft. I thought that was really cool. And then Dainty Black Girl said, I low key live vicariously through this show too. No, I low key live vicariously through this show. My life doesn't have nearly this much drama or action. So those were a couple of mine. Did Langston disappear again? Yes, he did. Oh, well. Okay, so my favorite outfit last night was the outfit that Melly had on in the First Lady's room with Andrew. I thought that was really cute. And then her having her hair off to the side, that was different for her because she doesn't usually have her hair like that. It's usually up or in some kind of bouffant, weird looking thing, or even just the ponytail. The ponytail is really cute. I like that on her too. This episode to me served the show's larger plot in a few ways because I did run down the episode titles last week, and I think this is really moving towards that Kiss Kiss Bang Bang episode that's coming up in a couple of weeks. What do you think, Langston?
Unfortunately, I missed all of that up until what do you think, Langston?
No, I said the show, because I usually ask the question, how do you think this episode served the show's larger plot? And I said that I think this is doing a lot to go towards that Kiss Kiss Bang Bang episode because last week I went down went down the list of the names of the episodes that are coming up, and
Mm,
they sound really interesting.
mm. Well, they definitely set up some major plot points because it's going to be really interesting to see the flashbacks that lead up to us seeing exactly how deep Tom has been in this whole situation and just how much information was he feeding Papa Pope.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if Jake is going to tell Olivia about Tom. Is
I
he
don't
going to
think
tell
he
Fitz?
will.
Is he going to tell? Well, he probably won't tell Fitz about Tom because basically he now has an upper hand on Fitz when it comes to Olivia. And like I said earlier today in one of my postings, I feel like Fitz made the worst mistake making him command.
Mm. I
You
would think
know
so. I would think he would have known that before he made Jake command. He should have. That's
that
just common
that he
sense.
that he would have known that he was being spied on.
Know that it was a mistake to make Jake command. You don't give somebody more power than yourself. Like Jake literally has more power than Fitz.
That's the problem is that he never believed that Rowan had more power than him. He never believed that he never believed in that whole idea of
B613.
everything I do is above your pay grade. He never believed that, which is why he took over and did what he did. But then, boom, you get this briefcase that basically says this is why the executive office can have no power in this particular
And
situation.
he was so overwhelmed when he went through that briefcase. And then here Olivia called with her bullshit talking about some find my father. Nick, what? Girl, if you don't get off my phone.
But the truth of the matter is she straight up told the truth though, is that if you're really
Yeah.
doing your job, then you need to protect the republic, and protecting the republic is protecting the president.
But the
And
thing is, she's setting her daddy up for an assassination. Like the things that she's doing is setting her father up to be murdered, and then she gets mad when they take action that she doesn't agree with. Because you know how she was telling Fitz at the beginning, because that shocked me too. That fight at the beginning of the show where she's telling him, "Well, you took my father out of power." What? Like you told me to do what I had to do, so guess what I did? I did
right.
what I had to do.
But
And
then, no,
she was just
because he was pissed off because he was trying to throw it all off on Jake, and she was basically like, "Hold up a minute, you're the one who put him in there, so why are you upset? You know that you're the one that put him in there. You took my father out of power and put him there, and so
and
how
now
can
you're
you say
saying you don't trust him.
you don't trust him?" But at the end of the day, he answered that it's like it's not that I don't trust him to do the job. I don't trust him with you,
Which
that's
means that he doesn't trust her. It's the
true.
translation because nothing can happen with Jake unless she agrees to let it happen.
You know what another game changer for me was when he said, I know that you wanted to do this for me and you wanted to do it for Melly because you thought that Melly was helping.
Yeah.
She
And
was
she was
like,
like, I did this for me.
I didn't do this shit for you. I did this for me. And I was like, thank you. Stop letting him control your stuff. Period.
About time. It's about time that to me, that gained her a measure of more respect. Not
Right.
that I don't respect her as, Olivia or whatever, but at the same time, it's at a point where you're like, how much of a fool are you going to be for this man? Like, that's what I've been saying for like the last couple episodes because it's just grating on my nerves. Renee Deborah says, is it possible that Tom is in fact working for Fitz despite appearances?
No.
So
Because I think
no.
my thing is if Tom was if Fitz was aware that Tom was in any way working with B613, he'd have been out of there.
Yeah.
And the other reason, like I said, when I detailed um, why I think it's not, even though Fitz thought that he was in control of the outing of Olivia, it wasn't him. It may have been his idea, but it wasn't his. It Rowan could have stopped it at any moment. That's
Yeah,
why I
because
know.
Tom didn't have to go through with it. And then on
Right.
top of it, you see he's trying to pull people to him that he trusts because he feels so distrustful of everyone. Like when Hollis was sitting in that at that dinner and he was telling and Fitz told Cyrus, hey, get him out of here. I don't care what he paid, refund him his money. I don't want him contributing to my campaign. He doesn't trust Hollis. But at the end of the day, Hollis is who got you there. Like you turning your back on the people
But
that got
that's
you.
but
Like
that's why
Nelly got him there.
but that's why he doesn't trust him, because he also knows, because Verna told him about all of their involvement, and I'm sure before he took her the fuck out, he sent her on her
Well, you yeah.
merry way to the land of Hades. Um, I'm pretty, at some point someone told him what Hollis's involvement was. So he knows that Hollis was involved in killing those people. And so
Oh,
therefore,
we didn't even talk about. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
what's that? No, I'm pretty sure that
We
he's
didn't even
aware.
talk about how Sally is cracking the hell up.
Oh
Sally
my
is losing her
God.
entire mind. Poor,
I see I see her being up on the podium during a debate, losing her entire mind right there in front of the American people on camera. I'm waiting for that moment, and I'm gonna be dying because yeah, because even Hollis was
yeah, he was
like,
like, Jesus knows something about him going home to his reward and how God something. Just like, God? God is going to smite me. He's going to smite me. You're crazy, lady.
killed that puppy. Yeah, killed, dead. I'm like, okay, pull it together, Sally. And Leo was like, you know what?
What in the world?
Excuse me for a minute. I think I'm gonna have to slap the shit out of Sally in a minute because she is losing her.
Olivia said last week, it's how you look at somebody and you like, you are not going to be able to follow this damn plan. Like, you are just not going to be able to do it. And Sally is not going to be able to. She's going to crack up. I don't even think they really need to vet, what's his name, the new guy, Andrew. They don't really even need to vet him because at some point, Sally's going to lose her mind and he's going to be put in position anyway. So it's kind of a moot point.
And I'm sorry, we're jumping all over the place, but another favorite moment for me was when uh, Olivia went in to see Melly when she was wearing the orange dress and the side swoop, and she basically said, "It was you. It was you that was the oxycontin was for," and Melly just kind of smiled, went over and closed the door like, "Don't be spreading my business." She
Hey,
went
but
over.
last week she was all spreading Olivia's business out in that public meeting of the foolishness at that restaurant. That was stupid. I mean,
Right,
all the listening devices we just talked about, and she was
right,
all, that bold out in public saying the things she was saying.
right,
At least if you invited me here to try to make public face, act like you have some sense while you're doing it because
right,
you know people are recording us.
right. Because Olivia pointed all of the people out
Yeah.
that she knows who were probably taping right then and there. But here's the other funny thing is that um, Melly's just too funny to me. She just puts it out there and just tries to just think that she's just gonna bulldoze people, but Olivia's not having it. She's like, mm-mm.
I kind of think Olivia does get bulldozed by Melly. I kind of think that she does.
At times, but she did bulldoze her last night, though. She definitely bulldozed her last night.
When she
And
told her to shut it down and Melly told her, look, I keep my legs closed, I don't think Olivia's winning. She's not winning with these conversations. She gained a little bit of ground last night when she told Fitz that what she was doing was for her and it wasn't for him and it was for the people that she was responsible for, which are her gladiators, OPA, her team, which I found to be very empowering. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. You need to pull your ovaries out and set them on the table so he can see what they look like. I like this. So I
damn,
enjoyed that part.
is that the equivalent of a man dropping
Yeah.
his on the
Yep.
table?
That was Katrina. She came up with that.
Uh, Thank you, Katrina. Ovaries
And
on the table, balls to the wall. Um,
exactly.
got you.
James's balls are on the wall and Olivia's ovaries are on the table.
Yes. Well, no. James's balls was on the wall last week. This week, he put them suckers so far up,
Did you have a favorite outfit from last night? Because I didn't ask you that.
he pressed them up in there with both fingers. Um,
I said they ascended. I was like, his balls ascended. They just went up. Like,
yes, they did. My favorite outfit, I could have liked Melly's orange dress if it hadn't
yeah,
been for
that's
that
what I said.
side hair swoop. But ultimately, I actually liked Olivia. I actually liked Olivia's first outfit, that black and white deal.
Oh, I didn't think we saw enough of it to be able to like it. Well, at
So
least me.
they're trying to stay at boob height because you know what's happening down below.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still like. I
That's
like
why when Jake talked about the fake sex, I was like, ugh, nah,
but
don't
you
want to
have
think
to
about pregnant girl sex.
You have to take the whole pregnant girl thing out of it because she's not supposed to be pregnant on the show. But
Yeah, but
the question is, did they actually have it though? But you know what, Jake was bringing it. Jake was bringing it last night though, because when he just basically came in there and said, "You can ask me to do something, but you can't tell me how to do it or when to do it. Just know that I'll do it." And another thing, I need for you to stock your fridge because if I'm going to be your fake boyfriend, I want some food and I want some beer because wine is not food and it is not beer. So he just let us all know that Olivia ain't been eating. She
the
doesn't
wine and the popcorn.
be drinking wine and eating popcorn. So yeah, he
What
was
kind
like,
of adult diet is that? That is crazy.
I didn't catch that. What'd you say?
I said, what kind of adult diet is that?
I know. Any more questions out there?
No, no more questions. The last thing I wanted to ask you was, what do you think the season finale will consist of? What are your predictions for that based on this episode?
Season finale may actually end up with uh, Mama and Papa Pope coming face to face again since her escape, and it might be like the ultimate battle because I want to see what her fighting skills are like. I actually want to see what happens when they actually come together. Uh, and I'm a little bothered, and I'm hoping at some point they are going to come back around full circle to letting us know what Operation Remington really was, because it wasn't
Mm,
that it wasn't that plane crash, because they made it very clear that it was two separate things, that
mm.
Jake and Pete Foster were doing Project Remington while um,
Fits.
Fitz was blowing up the plane, and then he was dropped into Operation Remington later, which is why Pete Foster wanted to talk to Fitz about Operation Remington. Like, where the fuck were you? Why are we being forced to tout this
Take,
false story of you being this great hero who was on this mission when you really weren't? So
yeah.
Remington is something else, and I need for Shonda to fix that so that because people are believing that Project Remington was the plane crash, and it was not, because they made it very clear that two separate things were happening during the same period of time. It was in one place, and Project Remington was somewhere else.
That'll
So
probably come up way before the end of the season.
they only got
If they
they only
if they
got 6
want,
months to wrap it up.
but you know how quickly things happen in the show. I was tweeting last night. I'm like, dang, these commercials. Why don't we all pass the hat as gladiators and get enough money together so that it's a commercialless
Shut it,
finale at least?
shut it down. It's just like, could you imagine if we just took up a huge collection, sent it to Shonda, and said, Shonda, pay for your own advertising. Every every commercial is another second of scandal. Just an entire actual hour of scandal. We
And
don't need all.
I have never wanted to watch a show straight through more. Like sometimes I'll even wait until the episode is like at 10:30 and then I start watching it. So I'm behind everybody else and I don't live tweet
So you
only
can fast
so
forward.
exactly so I can fast forward through the commercials. But I noticed for myself lately I've been doing that with every commercial. I just tend to mute it when it comes on or because it's too much noise and I don't feel like the noise. And
It always gets louder, and
yeah.
I thought they were supposed to be regulating that to to make them stop doing that. But the other thing is that yeah, that's what I love about downloading after the fact. Either because it's like you can download off of Xfinity or some of the other. I'm sure there's probably other cable companies out there that allow you to download episodes if you are a member of their whole situation. But the great thing about that, like I said, with the piece that I get, it doesn't just the show. No, so
Commercials.
ultimately I get 43 minutes of just straight up scandal. And although I do love watching it live, I love the idea of having it downloading it later and then being able to scroll
Watch it
back and
straight
forth,
through.
and watch it straight through, and actually catch dialogue or whatever that I missed previously. Because even though I do TiVo, I do DVR, I, you know, and I can rewind and watch again and everything. But I just like the aspect of not being stuck to commercials, like you said, because it's like it kills the momentum for me.
And even though I am not Shonda Rhimes yet on that level as a writer, I will go ahead and mention our sponsor today, Audible. So speaking of commercials, go to audibletrial.com/Jaha Knight for your free Audible trial. You can download a book for free and say, hey, Jaha sent me if you go to audibletrial.com/Jaha Knight. And thank you all for listening to this episode of the Scandal Podcast. My co-host, Langston Smith. Yay! I'm doing the clap that y'all can't. If you're on
Actually,
podcast, you can't see me.
even though we made it here and there were little dropouts here and there. This is the first podcast that I actually made it all the way to the end. I, I did. You didn't lose me. I actually get to say goodbye because all the other ones it was all Langston. Are you there? Oh well, Langston. I guess I'll say goodnight for him. Say goodnight, Langston. And now I get to say goodnight for myself. So
Yes, that's always lovely.
behalf of myself and Jaha and the Scandal Podcast, I'm happy to actually be able to say goodnight for myself. So
And in case you all didn't catch it earlier, because Langston is such a trooper. He got off work. He was driving while he was doing this episode. So if you have a couple of drop-ins and drop-outs, I prefer him to be safe on the road. Because I said, hey, Langston, what are you doing when you get home? He's like, no, we're doing this now. So just so you know that Langston was driving while he was doing this episode. So
he's still in the car.
yeah, he's still in the car. If you look at the video, he's still in the car. But I truly appreciate his dedication and I appreciate him so much for doing this with us and bringing us his scandal opinions every week, every other week.
And I love it. So, and if anybody's out there, hit us up. We're on Facebook, and we'll put you into the Scandalistas and Scandalati because that's the fun place.
It's a Facebook group. Yep, good group.
So you can tweet, you can Facebook, and get all of these great community interactions with different people, and just make lots of new friends all over the country because it's so much fun to talk to some of the ladies and some of the guys that are in there. So
that love scandal just like we do. So thank you all for listening, and I'll put a link in the show notes to the Scandalistas and Scandalati Facebook group so you can join and be interactive there as well. So y'all have a good night.
good night, everybody. Bye.